So whatever happened in 1989, 90, like
90.
you just mentioned,
Yeah. Mm.
did that add on to your presence in the literary world, like the kind of literature you write? And so beautifully, you have also written books around this topic, very in depth also. So, has this kind of maybe, given you that kind of push to maybe pen it down? Is that also there?
Yes, very much. Uh, what happened to us as a community and as individuals and as a family?
Mm.
Uh, as a, of course, as a individual first, but as a family second, as a community third.
Yes.
In 1989, 1990, and it's modern India, right? Um, so this isn't 1947. This is,
Yeah.
it's been what,
35
35
years.
years, but it is still not a long period in history, right? It is modern India. We were still sending rockets in space. So
Yes.
what happened? The tragic chapter was something which was made to happen, and we got displaced overnight. 500,000 Kashmiri Pandits, including my family, and we had nowhere to go. Of course, that shaped our worldview, not just mine. It shaped everybody's worldview that time across the three generations. People who were in the 60s and 70s, and all they had hoped for or
Mm.
longed for is to live and die in their homes. And people, middle-aged people, right? And they had a life, they had a career, they had, you know,
Mm.
and they had hoped for the long for the same.
Mm.
And children
Mm.
and youngsters like me, which is the teenagers like me,
Mm.
uh, who did not know what was to come. So of course, what happened, and then years we got to. I mean, we were forced to, say, study in a camp school, a camp college, live in a camp, live next to a camp, uh, year after year. Avantika. So that has, of course, had an impact. It's still that impact will never go away for generations. Now you see students studying trauma studies, which is offered as a degree course.
Yes.
I think that time in the 70s, 80s, none of the universities in India offered this. But I mean, we now realize that there is generational trauma. Jews are still facing that, right? So in
Yes.
our case, of course, we still find ourselves impacted at an emotional level, psychological level, societal level, economic level, what happened,
Mm.
for all of us to have been forced out of our homes,
Mm.
and it's like somebody snatching everything from you, everything.
Yeah.
And then you,
Mm.
and then it becomes a question of survival, right?
Mm.
Avantika, survival at various levels.
Mm.
uh, the physical level is just one aspect. There is this emotional level, there is a spiritual level, psychological level, family level, community level. There's so many dimensions to the survival. So of course, it impacted, and I think for many of us, you know, for some people, they took to activism, some people took to cinema, some people took photography. Unfortunately, there are not too many cameras around, you could not afford, but some of us took to writing, right? I thought, what else will I do?
Mm.
What is happening to me? What is happening to all of me, all of us together? I might as well capture that, right? But I'm not sure if I've been able to capture some part of it. Avantika, cannot be captured because there are no words. You know,
Mm.
the kind of uh, difficulties we have seen as individuals and as families and as a community, especially women, elderly women, especially women, uh,
Mm.
young girls in camps, women.
Mm.
I am not sure none of us will be able to portray that. I tried, but I failed. So this book, which came out, I think, last year, A
Yes.
Long Season of Ashes, uh, is a
I've read
memoir.
this book. Yes.
Yeah. So this book came out last year. It's A Long Season of Ashes.
Mm.
So the title Ashes, it's not my title.
Okay.
I think it's this we the Kashmiri word for ashes, Avantika, is sur, Soor or Sur. Not sure of the etymology.
Mm,
Maybe a little bit of Sanskrit, maybe a little bit of Arabic or Persian. Who knows? Is sur. So there were a lot of people, especially the elderlies that time, or even the middle-aged, women including. I found uh, I came across that time who used to use this word,
mm,
in different contexts. Uh, you when you die, you leave behind residue, and sometimes you say that my life is just a pile of ashes because
mm.
all you saw every day was deaths and devastation. You
Yes.
know, hundreds and thousands of people, I think, perished because
Mm,
they could not survive.
mm,
Day after day, and I was a witness to that. So comes a time, a stage in your life, Avantika. How do you paint that
mm,
mountain of ashes? And what are the words which can describe what happens? So inside, women carrying this mountain of ashes, you know,
mm,
or this fistful of ashes, because that was life, very difficult,
mm,
meaningless. Like you have
mm,
lost everything. You don't know whether there's any meaning to live.
mm,
So I think I'm still grappling with that. It will never go away, and I don't wish for it to go away, honestly. It should
mm,
never go away because it is part of our history and it is part of the identity. You know, while it is important to move on, Avantika, right? But it is important not to, forget it and
mm,
not to document it, not to talk about it. So, of course, that what happened, in 1990,
mm,
the persecution last year, Kashmir, which was, everybody in Kashmir was praying for our ouster and threatening us, right? So I think it's history. We know it,
yes.
uh, and thinking of us uh, as a community which should not even exist, just because we happen to be Hindus.
Mm,
And then finally, we are left with no choice but to leave. Had we not left, we
mm,
would have been killed, and it was already happening. And then those years in exile. So
mm,
how do we, as youngsters, in my father started writing, I started writing. A lot of people in my generation, some poetry, some drama, some
mm,
stories. How do you document history?
mm,
Is through these stories until this day. So it has had a big impact. I think 80% of world literature, Avantika, is nothing but displacement. 80% of world literature is displacement. Uh, and over the centuries and centuries, I think we have seen
mm.
communities getting displaced,
Yes.
So, so even 80% of world art or music is displacement, You see Jewish art and
Yes.
expression, or Palestinian or African, right?
Yes.
It's
Mm,
all about, displacement. That is the source, one thing.